guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over two different articles dealing with the subject of men having to pay for kids that aren't theirs. And the first article, it's about a guy, it's from 2019, and he's over in the UK, and he's been paying for his child, or he thought it was his child, for 14 years. And then the mother admitted that the kid's not his. Therefore, he didn't have to pay anymore. But the UK government didn't see it that way, and he's been back and forth with them about that, and they obviously expect him to pay, and you're going to see how this thing works out eventually in his favor. The second article is about a guy who for 26 years was battling the government about paying for a kid that an old girlfriend said that was his while he was doing time. Okay, and 26-year battle, you'll also see he eventually wins. But it's amazing all the crap these guys have to go through to eventually not have to pay up for kids that are not theirs. And I'm doing this, guys, for multiple reasons. One, to show you, once again, how the deck is stacked against guys and how essentially at the end of the day, they just try to make guys pay for things they shouldn't have to pay for. It's absolutely ridiculous. The courts are against men, and it's ridiculous. And honestly, the more we talk about these things and bring awareness, hopefully it will help. Second thing is, an important lesson, guys, is how you always have to wear protection. I don't care how pretty she is, how unbelievable her body is, how tempting it is. Always wear protection, because you could end up like these guys, and also dispose of your protection. And the last one is how you never back down. And you're going to see here, these guys, unfortunately, it takes them a long time to deal with the situation, but they don't back down. And now I believe they both have opportunity to sue to obviously get their money back and make up for all the turmoil they had to go through for all this time. So, the first article title is, Father who paid £38,000 to his ex in child maintenance is forced to keep paying even after finding out the daughter isn't his after 14 years. It says, a father of two disabled children has been forced to continue paying child maintenance despite his ex-partner admitting that a 14-year-old girl was not his biological daughter. So in what world does it make any sense that she's admitting this is not his kid, and yet the government still is making him pay? Because at the end of the day, they don't have to pay probably welfare or whatever it is to help support this kid, so they go after the guy, right? 14 years. And by the way, he should be getting that money back. How about that? But still, they still want him to continue paying on. He says, the man from Hull, who cannot be named to protect the privacy of the child in the case, paid £38,000 of child maintenance to his ex over 14 years before the Child Maintenance Service, CMS, agreed to put a stop to any further payments after his ex-partner confessed that the girl was not his. However, the CMS sent the man a letter confirming he was not the parent of the girl, but they said the man still had to pay £2,000 arrears before the matter could be fully closed. So they said he doesn't have to pay anymore. However, well, you still owe money. Well, if they know it's not his kid, then he shouldn't be on the hook for that money. And I might add, try to get that money back from her through a lawsuit, but that's a separate issue. But they don't care because they don't want to have to pay for it. Speaking to Whole Live, the man said, as somebody who is currently paying for a child that CMS has confirmed is not mine, I think it's very important to highlight how they get away with that, and it's effectively breaking the law. Because he's a guy, that's why. And they figure he would just rather pay the £2,000 instead of having to hire an attorney and go and pay them more just to deal with £2,000. That's probably the thinking there. And of course, they figure, hey, we don't want to deal with it. He says, at the end of last year, my ex told me my daughter was not mine, which, considering she was 14 years old at the time, came as a bit of a shock. I was obviously devastated, especially as I am a father of two disabled boys who I care for full time. Yeah, so he has two disabled children, which obviously costs way more than the cost of raising, children that are not disabled. But still, this guy would be getting some assistance, quite frankly. And of course, let's mention the fact that this girl he thought was his daughter turns out is not his daughter. So there's a whole bunch of crap going on here. He says, I've literally given my ex tens of thousands of pounds over the last 14 years that could have been spent on them. Although I am more upset because I love my daughter with all my heart and did my best for her. That ex of his is a piece of garbage. I asked how that works because the child is not mine, and they had confirmed that. So here I am paying arrears I do not owe for a child that is not mine. It is a farce, and the CMS should be ashamed. The man disputed the additional payments, but was told that he needed a DNA test to prove that he was not the girl's natural father, but the mother refused to allow a test to be carried out. Yeah, she sounds like a wonderful woman. Okay, well, I'll be hiring an attorney to sue you for you lying about me having to, that's my child, and having to pay all that money to get that money back plus interest. And of course, the emotional turmoil because I thought this was my daughter all along. It says here, Hull West and Hessel MP Emma Hardy urged the Department for Work and Pensions to review the case urgently. The dad, who worked full-time for more than 20 years until he became the full-time carer of his 2 disabled children, asked how he was meant to obtain DNA proof that the girl was not his biological daughter if his ex-partner would not allow it. Whole Live contacted CMS, and eventually they U-turned their decision to enforce the arrears. After the arrears was cleared, the man said, I am no victim. I have 2 wonderful kids, an amazing better half, and blessed beyond my wildest dreams. So I would rather focus on them than having negativity in my life, which is why I will be delighted when the CMS are finally out of my life and I can look forward to the future. Emma Hardy said the case should have been resolved without the input of an MP and a journalist. Yeah, well, you know what? To this lady who's obviously representing, I guess, the CMS, if you guys wouldn't make things so difficult for this guy, he wouldn't have had to make a lot of noise and get a journalist involved. And notice now, because he got a journalist involved and an MP, as they said here, now they're willing to play ball and back off with the 2,000 pounds that they claimed he owed, because he made a bunch of noise, and yet this representative of them is bitched and complained that he should have done that. It should have been resolved. Well, you pushed him into a corner, so of course he acted. So good for him. A spokeswoman for the CMS told Whole Live, following further information, we have reviewed the case and will be in contact with him as soon as possible to discuss our decision. Arrears were incurred before the case was closed in October 2019. Following the review of the case, we have decided that Mr. Such and Such does not have to pay arrears. So good. This guy doesn't have to pay that 2,000 pounds. It's over and done with. But again, the mere fact that they actually were trying to make him do it is absurd, given the fact that the woman admitted this isn't his child. Okay, and the fact that he had to make a lot of noise about it, get a journalist involved to get this to be lifted, and yet the representative that was bitching about that because he made a bunch of noise about it and said shouldn't have to do that. Well, you forced his hand. Now at this point, this guy, in my opinion, should be contacting an attorney and suing this woman for obviously the money he paid and all that. I'm not an attorney. And I'm not over in the UK, so I know how it works over there. So any lawyers in the UK that watch me here, let's hear what you have to say. Can this guy, does he have a claim? Does he have a case? Could he do something? And one may say, okay, she may not have the money to pay him back, but something. Now, to the second article. This is about the guy who's been battling the state for 26 years about payments for a kid that was not his. This article is titled, Court Finally Stops Trying to Make a Detroit Man Pay Child Support for Child That Isn't His. Carnell Alexander says he got a shock during a traffic stop in the early 1990s. The officer arrested him, telling me he is a deadbeat dad. When he appeared in court, Alexander told the judge he didn't have any children. The court told him to find the woman. The court gave him an old address. When he couldn't find her, he was told he has to pay. Imagine that. You get pulled over by the cops. You think it's for speeding or something like that. And they said, you're under arrest for not making child support payments. And you're like, what? And now you can't find the woman? He says, it's such an unfair system, said Alexander, period. He later learned that while he was in prison for a crime he committed as a young man, his ex listed him as father on an application for welfare benefits. Notice the paternity hearing that followed was taken to his old house. When he didn't appear for the hearing he didn't know about, he was made a dad by default. So she just wrote his name down, just so she can get benefits. And of course, there's no question because, he has to pay, end of story. He went to court again and again, but could not get the matter resolved. No one ever listened until I met you, said Alexander. After 7, Action News told a story, and an attorney volunteered to take on the case. So in other words, until he started making some noise about this, contacted the media, they wouldn't do anything. And that way then he got an attorney to help him out, because a lot of attorneys like to do these semi-high profile things to get, noticed. He says Sharika Harris said he did it because she is outraged by how the system. She did because she's outraged how the system treated Carnell Alexander. Damn right, every right to be outraged. She says you declare him a deadbeat, you garnish his wages, take away his ability to make a living. That's an illegal taking. It is a violation of his constitutional rights, said Harris. Attorney Harris is preparing to appeal before a federal judge on Wednesday to argue that Alexander deserves to sue the state and Wayne County for violating his rights. And I have somebody else he can sue, the woman that falsely put his name down and put him through all this stuff for 26 years. She says the case is important to protect others. It is only as her suit has moved forward that Wayne County dismissed the child support case against her client. Imagine that. Alexander got official notice days ago that after a 26-year-long fight, he doesn't owe child support for his child that is not his. He says, so the judge has finally agreed with me that this shouldn't have been done, said Harris. Today I'm happy that debt has been lifted, but I'm still hurt by what I've been through for 26 years, said Alexander. 26 years he's been fighting this thing. Okay, now time to sue the state. Time to sue the state to get back potentially any money he's paid, and obviously get something for all the turmoil he's gone through and all that. Absolutely. And track down that woman. But guys, perfect example. Two perfect examples in different parts of the world. One here in Detroit, one over in the UK, about how, guys, the deck is stacked against us. The family courts don't give a crap. It just pay. You're a man. You got a dick. Pay. End of story. So for you guys out there that are having fun and all that, be careful. Wear protection. Dispose of protection, because one little foul up, whether because you didn't wear or she convinced you that she's on the pill, this could be you. You could be on the hook for a long time, those payments. So just be careful. That's all I got to say about that. So, all right, guys, as ever today, it's a quick one, but I thought it'd be a good one here. It's good to see these two guys came out on top eventually. It only took that guy 26 years, and the other guy as well, when he found out what he had to go through. But it's good to see that they fought. And like I said before in the beginning, guys, you got to fight. In life, you can't back down. And these guys didn't back down, and, thank the Lord, they came out on top. But believe me, governments will try to screw you unless you fight back and make a lot of noise. And whenever you get the media involved, that certainly does make a lot of noise. All right, guys, and that's it for today. And be sure to, guys, if you come across a really good article you'd like me to cover in the future that's relevant to the channel, email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And also, this goes for your personal stories, any really good personal stories that you got from your past, that you've overcome some things and things like that. You know what I like to cover here. Email it to me. Just make sure it's written well, easy for me to read. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.